Boro come out of the Lions' den with 3 huge points and a performance I don't think anyone saw coming. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Project Boro, and I am in shock by what I've just witnessed. Boro have came away from the den, came away from Millwall, a Millwall side, as we've mentioned, who've got lots of positive vibes, lots of momentum, a great start to the season, a well-fancied side. That paired with it just being a mighty tough place to go. Boro, of course, off the back of a cup defeat in midweek that really brought the mood down and had people seriously concerned by what may be about to hit us in the league. And then we dropped one of the best performances and one of the most surprising performances I don't think anyone saw coming. The second half, especially in this game, was as good as I think it gets in terms of a overall team performance from back to front, in possession, creatively, defensively. You don't get much better than what Boro did in that second half. And again, I stress, going to a place like Millwall and doing what we did in the second half was seriously impressive. And this has come from absolutely nowhere. And huge credit to Rob Edwards, huge credit to the players and the reaction, because I think that's exactly what fans needed to see. You know, following the Doncaster defeat, see a reaction, see a good performance. I just wanted us to come away with something from Millwall. I genuinely didn't think we would, but we were very well worth the 3 points with how we played and how we put Millwall away in that second half. It was absolutely outstanding, and it was the perfect mix of what we saw from Boro before, how good we were in possession, how threatening we were going forwards, but then equally defensively, no matter what they threw at us, I thought we were great. We were absolutely solid. So let's take a little look then at the starting 11. There was one change in the 11. Once again, FootMob just can't fathom a 3 at the back formation for some reason. But we did have a back 5, the same back 5 that we had in the last game. Britton, Jones, Fry, Ayling and Sammy Silvera. Hayden Hackney was pushed forward into the 10 alongside Morgan Whittaker, with Morris being paired with Kante. That meant that, of course, Bergsorg dropped out of the side. And to be honest with you, first half was exactly what I predicted it would be, and that was that it was not great. It was more of the same, and I guess it was a continuation of what we've seen from Boro so far, as I sort of thought it would be. It was a very physical tussle between two sides, a bit of a stalemate, a bit of a tug of war, not too much quality, and unfortunately from Boro, not much creativity either. I think we finished the first half with one shot, none on target, an XG of 0.03. We basically didn't threaten Millwall whatsoever. I thought we dealt with their physicality rather well, as I also hoped we would, although they did have some absolutely huge opportunities in the first half. The biggest came Casper Denor, I believe it was, who had an effort that was blocked on the line by Luke Ayling, and I can't tell you how important that moment ended up being in terms of the game as a whole and how it all went. It could have been massively different had that goal went in. It was fantastic positioning and defending by Luke Ayling, but Boro just couldn't get going in the first half. I thought Millwall set up perfectly. You know, we couldn't go long, as I thought. You know, going long against Millwall, you're going to get absolutely no joy at all trying to play balls forward to Tommy Conway when he's got Jake Cooper, who is huge, and Jaffet Tanganga either side of him. We were getting no joy going long. The ball was just coming back to us, and Millwall were just recycling it, coming out of defence once again. We were trying to go short, passing it into the 10s, passing it into midfield. Their press was absolutely outstanding, so they just kept nipping the ball off of us as well. So it was, the first 20 minutes were rough, were really rough, and I was just praying we'd get through it without conceding, because it felt like it was only going to go one way. I think Negley had a header as well he probably could have done better with after an Aziz cross from the left-hand side. So, albeit I wouldn't say either side had huge opportunities. It wasn't a half that will be remembered fondly. Millwall certainly had the better of it, and I think their setup and how they combated Boro was absolutely perfect, and we basically offered nothing. And it looked like it was going to be more of the same. And my prediction was, of course, that was how the first half would go. Second half, they'd bring on a bit of pace, and they'd probably finish the game. Boy, was I wrong. And was I happy to be wrong? Because whatever was said at half-time and the tweaks Rob Edwards made worked an absolute treat. And this is just so refreshing to see a Boro manager making a change at half-time, a proactive change. He dropped Hayden Hackney back into the midfield alongside Aidan Morris, taking Kante off, bringing on the new boy, Sontje Janssen, and we were like a different side second half. We were so good. You know, in possession, it was by far the best that I've seen Boro. You know, we've not been great so far. It's been very long ball, very direct. It's not been the greatest of viewing. We've not been all that creative, but we were so much better on the ball second half. The tempo was absolutely fantastic, and the quality as well was so much better in the second half. Hackney and Morris got an absolute grip of the game in midfield. They were absolutely outstanding in the middle second half. The defence was brilliant. You know, they were so good up against Millwall's threatening attacking players. They had one big opportunity, Millwall, and I have absolutely no clue how this didn't go in. I think we'd already gone one up at this point, but Josh Coburn nearly got himself the goal we'd all worried he'd get. Former player coming back to haunt you. Somehow his header hit both posts and stayed out. And I think it was from that moment Millwall probably thought this wasn't going to be their day. But it only took Boro 4 minutes to take the lead in the second half. As I say, we come out like a different team. And the substitutions by Rob Edwards made an instant impact. Sontje Janssen was fantastic. He was so much fun when he come on in the second half. He received the ball. His turn was exquisite. He absolutely turned Jay Cooper inside out, played it off to Morgan Whittaker. He squared it to Hayden Hackney, arriving late in the box as a good number 8 should, and his finish in the bottom corner was brilliant. An absolutely wonderful goal from back to front. Really, really nice play from Boro. And after that, as I say, we managed the game really well. We continued to create, we continued to control the game, I would say. Apart from the Coburn chance, Millwall didn't threaten us all that much. We were defending extremely well. We were sort of sat back in a sort of 5-4-1, and I thought it was really good defensive shape from Boro. And it was good to see us managing the game. It was good to see us switching it up, defending really well, blocking the spaces, cutting off the passing lanes, and if the wing backs were out of position, you know, Dale Fry or Luke Ayling would be in to cover. Their reading of the game in the second half was so good. There were so many 50-50s where had they lost out, Aziz or Megley or whoever it was might have been in on goal or in behind or down the sides, but the defence judged their challenges really well. They won their duels, and Hackney and Morris just won so many 50-50s, controlled the middle of the park, kept us playing, and we just took total control of the game. It was really, really good from Boro, and it was one of them where, you know, will Millwall get a late goal? Will they find a late sucker blow and come away with a point? But Boro got their second goal in the 87th minute, and it was at the perfect time to score. It completely took the sting out of the game, the perfect time to close it off, and it was from another set piece. A fantastic set piece once again. Hackney's ball, as they always tend to do, our crosses, our corners, they always seem to find a Boro player first, which is really, really important. There was a bit of a scramble in the box. Luke Ayling laid it off to Alfie Jones, who turned and walloped it into the back of the net. Nearly took the net off, and it was a well-deserved goal from Alfie Jones, who was a rock at the back. Him, Dale Fry and Luke Ayling defensively were top draw today, and it well-deserved to see him get himself his first Boro goal and seal the deal. But Boro weren't done, because Delano Bergzorg made absolutely sure in the 97th minute. Again, Boro's substitutes combining, and it's so good to see not just the substitutions that Rob Edwards is bringing on having an impact, but them also being made, coming on and doing the business, and just having the options off the bench as well. I think is just such a huge boost for us. Obviously, we had George Edmondson back today. We had Finn Azaz back today, and it was Finn Azaz who played a delicious ball over the top into that little bit of space. Bergzorg chested down and poked the ball beyond the goalkeeper to make it 3. A brilliant little ball from Finn Azaz, and it was so good to see him back on the pitch. And, him, Hansen, coming in as them 10s, they slotted in perfectly and had such a positive impact on the game, and it was great to see Bergzorg come off the bench and get a goal too. I think his best position in this squad is coming off the bench and having an impact, and it was great to see him get his goal, and it was a great assist too. And Boro finished what in the end was a near perfect second half performance. We got away with the Josh Coburn chance, granted, but I thought Sol Brynn at the back, he was a rock. He'd come out, he caught a couple of crosses, couple of corners, claimed through balls really well, and was just really reassuring between the sticks. And as I say, just as a performance as a whole, it was a real team performance, and it's something we've not been accustomed to seeing Boro do a lot in recent times. It was a performance where there were periods in the game where we had to defend hard, dig deep, win our duels, win 50-50s, manage the game, draw fouls. It's a really good ugly side of Boro that you need. As I said, it's all good as being a pretty side as we have been, and we were under Michael Carrick, and we might have performances where we do blow teams away, but there were also so many where, we would just lose control of a game, we'd be really loose at the back, and we just didn't have a backbone. But we saw both sides to that today. We had to show a bit of it in the first half when we weren't exactly great on the ball. We had to defend, we had to weather the storm, weather the early Millwall pressure. But then second half, when we took total control, we just mopped up everything that came our way. And from back to front, we were absolutely top draw. It was a seriously great performance. And I think the biggest thing is that it just came out of the blue and out of nowhere. And as I say, fair play to the boys. The reaction following the Doncaster game, for Rob Edwards as well, getting the players to play the way he did, the substitutions worked a treat as well. This was what we were hoping we'd see. Edwards has talked a lot about controlling a game. He's talked a lot about being resilient and defending, but he's also talked a lot about good football. And we'd not seen much of that yet up until this point. Second half, it was like seeing the best of what we knew of Boro before, but also the bits we wanted to see added on top. And if we see more of this, Boro fans might be a lot happier than what we maybe envisaged would be at the start of the season. And of course, it means 2 wins from 2. We've not conceded a goal yet, which is absolutely awesome. We're second in the league for what it's worth, and it is the first time we've won, I think, our opening 2 games in the league since 1991, which is insane. So, yeah, the best possible start we probably could have hoped for. I'd have snapped your hand off for a point. We came away with all 3, and boy, did we deserve it in that second half. A little look at the stats. I mean, the stats at half-time, it shows you how different the halves were. At half-time, I can't recall exactly what Millwall had, but as I say, Boro, 1 shot, none on target, an XG of 0.03. It just didn't look like we were going to hurt Millwall at all. Second half, though, 12 shots, 5 on target. So 11 more shots and 5 more on target. 2 big chances, an XG of 1.2. Much better offensively, while also being really good at the back as well. So credit to the boys, and credit to Rob Edwards, obviously bringing Hackney back into the midfield, bringing on Hansen, who I thought slotted in perfectly. And we'll get on to the players now, because there's so much praise to be dished out pretty much from top to bottom, if I'm absolutely honest. As I say, Sol Brynn, I thought he was outstanding at the back. He didn't have to make too many saves, and yet they had a big chance with Josh Coburn that was fluffed. Obviously, Negley had a header that was missed in the first half. Luke Ayling did make a big block as well off the line, but I think in terms of managing and marshalling his box, he came out, he collected, he was solid. There were also times where he distributed the ball really well with his hands as well. So a very good clean sheet for Sol Brynn, 2-2 now for him. The defence, thank God, was much better, because there were concerns after Doncaster that what we thought was a good defence looked all at sea against the League One outfit. However, today they were brilliant, really, really good. I thought Callum Britton and Silvera down the sides were much better defensively, especially Sammy. He's maybe been a bit suspect defensively, but considering, he was going up against, Negley at the back post, Sometimes there were crosses flying in, and he's not the biggest Sammy, but he was up there challenging, winning as many headers as he could. Never lost his man. Same for Callum Britton, who also got forward quite a bit more as well and looked more of a solid wing back too. So that was a much better performance from him. But I think the star players in that back line were Jones, Fry, and Ayling. They were so good. You know, Ayling's play with the ball wasn't great first half. I think in possession he was a little bit suspect. He played a few short balls in the first half that weren't great. Sold some of his teammates short. And I think we were just in general playing out from the back too much in the first half, playing in to Millwall's hands and their press. But in terms of defensively, they were so good. You know, Jones and Fry, some great physical duels, winning every aerial duel. Same with Luke Ayling, you know, throwing himself into 50-50s. His reading of the game was really good too. The back three were just so solid, and it's just good to have that kind of a base to fall back on when you are leading a game and you're trying to see it out. You feel a bit more reassured knowing that you've got the three there, and of course the two wing backs either side to make that five. And that's why I've always liked the back three. You know, you can flip it into being an offensive formation with the wing backs. You can also drop it back into a flat five if you want to see the game out. And it's certainly helped in these opening two games. We managed the game well against Swansea too, albeit not as pretty. We did the same here once again. The midfield too were top draw. Hayden Hackney was just a level above. We need to do everything we can to keep hold of him, because not only did he take his goal really well, but I think when we dropped, but to be fair, even first half, you know, when he was playing as a 10, he was still, I think, one of our better players in terms of linking the play. You know, I think towards the end of the first half, he maybe dropped a little deeper to try and connect with the midfield too a bit more, and there were times where he drove really well with the ball. But once we put him back in the centre with Aidan Morris, second half, those two just bossed it. They absolutely bossed it. And Aidan Morris was everywhere. He won so many times. He was there, reading the game, picking up second balls, winning duels, winning interceptions, and then just playing the ball off to Hansen, to whoever else it was. He just kept cleaning up and was just so solid in midfield. Them two were just a class above. And the front lads were great too. They were really good. It was refreshing to see, especially second half, the front lads link up and play really well. You know, Hansen for a debut, I thought was great. His turn for our first goal was fantastic, and it's just good to have a player with a bit of pace, who's a little bit direct. You know, he carried the ball really well at times, but I thought his decision making was good. You know, there were times where he'd be carrying the ball towards their box. He had no options. He didn't try and shoot. He didn't try and take too many men on, go solo, or try and do something special. He just held the ball up, kept possession, managed it really well, which was great to see. And Whittaker as well grew into the game. I thought he had a very good second half as well, got a very good assist as well, linking up well with Hansen down the right-hand side, squaring it to Hackney as well. A really good assist from him too. And I guess it was maybe just the two players who were benched, unfortunately, who didn't have all that much impact. You know, Kante, you could tell he's still getting up to speed a little bit. You know, Millwall, a very tough place for a player to come straight into on his championship full debut, you know, and in such a hostile atmosphere with how intense they are, especially first half with their press. It was very difficult for Kante, and he was, you know, robbed of the ball a few times, although he still put himself about really well. Again, with Conway, he keeps putting a shift in, albeit I still don't think, you know, this system will get the best out of him. Maybe he won't get as many goals as we'd hope. You know, he still put an industrious performance in and full effort as well, which was, you know, is always grateful to see. And then there's so much praise for the bench as well. And I think firstly, what I noticed was it's great to see us just have the options, first and foremost, you know, to bring on Azaz, you know, Hansen, Borges, Bergzorg, players who some should be starting, so it's great to bring that quality on, but others are great players to actually come on and have a positive influence. You know, Hansen's first cameo was very impressive. To see Azaz come on and get an assist straight away is incredibly promising. I'd like to think he'd be straight back in, but then, you know, Hansen's also maybe earned himself a start. Whittaker with an assist as well. It's great to see this competition in these forward positions. Bergzorg coming on and getting a goal is great as well, considering his form's not been as great lately. And, you know, second half as well, when you want to bring on more defenders, Edmondson was warming up before he shit out some of the Millwall fans and got himself booked. Borges coming on as well. It was just refreshing to see that there were options there, and they certainly helped us second half in terms of managing the game and also actually helping us winning it as well. So, yeah, overall, delighted. Absolutely delighted. And I know it's 2 games in. I don't look at the league table or pay all that much notice until we've seen 10 games. But isn't it nice? Isn't it nice? Can we just stop the count now, please? Stoke and Boro? Yeah, that would be a good 2 to go up, wouldn't it? But no, it's great, to see Boro having a positive start. How many times in recent years have we started poorly, been playing catch-up? And I think people assumed if there was ever going to be a season where we'd start slowly, it was going to be this one. With the number of players that we needed to bring in, the shift in style to the Edwards way, I think we all pretty much come to terms with the fact it would be a slow start. But here we are, 2 wins from 2, a very impressive away win at, I think, what's going to be one of the most difficult places to come for any team this season. And we haven't conceded a goal yet, which, yeah, is something that is very, very different and is new for this Boro team in recent times. So, yeah, great. It's fantastic. It is important we follow this up. Of course, we are at Norwich next weekend, so it doesn't get any easier. I think Norwich did get themselves off to a winning start. They went to Pompey and won today, so that's going to be tough. And I still feel like, as much as I'd love to win 3-3, I think you're just going to keep momentum going. If you can come out of Norwich with anything, a point, I still think's great. Just don't get beat. Bring the momentum, carry it through, come away from Carrow Road with something, and then we finish it with a home game to Sheffield United, who have not started well, are bottom of the league as well. Could be a good time to get them out the way too. So, if Boro can just get through next week with another solid performance, start to see that consistency, we might end up coming out of hopefully this first block of games in a position we probably never ever thought we would. And huge credit, because a lot of people, and I get why, had huge doubts. And there's still, until we see this consistently, I guess there still is reason to just hold back a little bit. But in terms of this performance today, great. And I think Edwards, the team, the staff, everyone deserves immense credit, because off the back of that midweek game, a lot of people feared the worst. Rightfully so. This was the last thing we expected, to come away from the Den. 3 points, 3 goals, and a top second half performance to boot as well. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on this one. I was very impressed by Boro. Very, very impressed. Just a very good, overall, well-rounded team performance from the starting 11, the substitutes, and the staff on the bench as well. So, great stuff. Great stuff. There's nothing to moan about for once as a Boro fan. Unbelievable. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And of course, like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe for more and hit the bell too, so you never miss when a video drops. We will be back, of course, to preview the Norwich game at some point in the middle of the week, as well as covering any transfers to come, because also Boro have still probably got Sverre Nypen to come through the door this week from Manchester City as well, so hopefully the transfers and the good news keeps on coming. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, enjoy the win, enjoy your week. This was a cracking result. Up the Boro, and I'll see you all soon.